It is with great regret that Mr. Shankly has intimated that he wishes to retire from active participation in league football.
Bill Shankly left Liverpool in 1974 after 10 years at the top. He created a wave of euphoria that had carried the club way beyond its wildest dreams. In England they were unbeatable, but not in Europe. They reached a semi-final and lost, a final and lost. Passion was not enough. Maybe Shankly was naive. Well, he still had plenty of time. But he gave up. The boss left.
Staggered. Absolutely staggered. I've never known a press conference so still and quiet. It was like a church, the silence. And there's Bill sort of, obviously the emotions must have been racing through him. And, it was just sensational.
Now, you're the man who once said that some people think football is a matter of life and death, but it's far more important than that. How can you, of all people, hope to survive without football?
That was the most difficult thing in the world. And when I went to walk to the chairman with it, the day that I was giving in my resignation, and not resignation, retiring, it was like walking to the electric chair. That's the way I felt.
Well, and I'm told that TV people went around doing vox pops, and they thought it was some kind of wind-up, some kind of student rag, some kind of joke. Bill Shankly leaving Liverpool, it doesn't happen.
It's true. I swear it's the truth. Honestly, I'm not joking, really.
What's happening, son? Nah, I don't believe that. If he has, like, Liverpool's had it.
Oh, you're going to have me crying.
He's retired, he's finished leaving the game.
That's terrible.
You haven't me on, aren't you?
No, I'm not having one. I've just been to Anfield, honest.
You said? When did you retire?
Today, he retired, he's finished today.
Terrible, I'm going to look on the
Bill Shankly's retired. Is he? He's finished.
It's a bit of a shock to me.
How do you feel?
Terrible.
Then, have you heard today's news? Shankly's retiring.
Is he?
Yeah, what do you think of that?
Thank Christ for that.
Not to him.
You're an Everton supporter then?
Yeah.
Misdirected headers from both sides, and here's Keegan as Webb misses his kick, gives it to Toshak.
12 months earlier, it had all been so different. Keegan and the giant Toshak were unstoppable. Liverpool reached the final of Europe's UEFA Cup. Critics said Shankly was too loyal to his players. Not anymore. Brian Hall, not John Toshak, played in the first game at home.
It was a brilliant experience to be able to walk out in that sort of environment against world-class players. Yeah, I enjoyed it immensely. For 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes.
And then the heavens absolutely opened. It was absolutely torrential. And they played, I don't know, something short of half an hour, however much, and had to come off because it was just impossible. It was becoming quite farcical.
I obviously remember the next evening very vividly because I just made the assumption I'd be getting the same number as I did last night, the night before. Didn't happen that way, I'm afraid. Shanks had decided that a tactical change was needed.
So Toshak was brought in when the game was played again, and of course they just couldn't stand the aerial threat. And Toshak virtually was our secret weapon that gave us the good lead in the first leg.
Oh, yeah. Toshak, Keegan. Oh, what a beautiful goal! What a goal! Toshak, Keegan. Goalkeeper.
At the end of the day, Shanks was right, because we won 3-0. I could have argued at the time we'd have won 4-0 if I was playing, but I think I'm being a bit naive myself if I say that.
Liverpool travelled to Mönchengladbach, confident that 3 goals would be enough to win them their first trophy in Europe. But the Germans took them by surprise.
I was captain of the side and didn't realise how much pressure that they could put on us. For the first 20 minutes, we got battered. We got absolutely murdered.
He's got past Lloyd and Smith. Heinkes. Oh, and there's a goal! Heinkes! And Liverpool are in trouble.
That second half, it seemed to me like about 4 hours long. It never seemed to... I remember I was looking at my watch about every 5 minutes, because Bristol were very much on top in all fairness. But the boys held out really well. I mean, it was a great defensive battle. It was the Alamo all over again, and we held out.
Liverpool have won the Youth Cup, their first major conquest in Europe after 9 years of triumph.
I can remember getting presented with this heap. The top half was made of silver and the bottom half was concrete. So I've got to take this thing and run around a pitch with it, haven't I? You've won the cup. Well, I get halfway round and a big fat lad from, I don't know where he was from, a Scouser, jumped on me. And I can always remember that, and I do apologise to the lad. I remember turning around and saying, if you ever do that again, lad, I said, I'm going to drop this on you. Because he was draped round my neck and I'm saying, get off him, you know.
1973 was the best season Liverpool had with Bill Shankly. The UEFA Cup and another league championship. His adoring public looked forward to winning the big prize, the European Cup. They would be disappointed. Liverpool met Red Star Belgrade in the second round. It was a watershed.
That was also to be, of course, Bill Shankly's last European game, Red Star. We weren't to know it then, but they beat Liverpool and knocked Liverpool out, and Shanks was never again to manage Liverpool in Europe.
Jankovic on for Lazarevic. Beautiful goal! That's done it. Something to be added on, but not a great deal. Oh, yes! What a tremendous shot from Jankovic!
Liverpool would learn from Red Star's defensive tactics, would learn to counter-attack. But Bill Shankly would not be there. He resigned that summer.
I don't think Shankly had realised how much other European teams had moved on and how mobile their football was. It wasn't just ball skill and strength and speed. There was a lot more to it than that. And in the latter part, I don't think Shankly had it as far as European football was concerned. But Paisley certainly did.
Bob Paisley was Shankly's assistant. Bill did the talking, Bob did the listening. He had joined Liverpool as a player from Bishop Auckland before the Second World War. The club encouraged him to study physiotherapy, but when they asked him to succeed Bill Shankly, he was reluctant.
Being given this job, like he said, it's like being given the Queen Elizabeth's to steer in the first 10 gale.
And Bob was very happy going down the betting shop in the afternoon, have his little bets on, and life was lovely.
And he said, I've been down on me bended knee to Bill. Go and have a cruise. Go on a holiday and come back and you have your job back. I'll just look after the shop, like, while you're away. But he won't have it, so I've got it, haven't I?
Obviously, when Bob took over at the end, it was all the things that had happened through all the early years, all the mistakes that were made, that Bob was picking up on, storing away. And then when it was his turn to make decisions, then he was obviously making the right decisions in his time.
Bill's football was all about passion. Bob's was all about patience. Bill never liked defending. Bob saw the Europeans turn defence into attack. He made Liverpool change.
He did his homework on the training ground, and basically, when you went out, if you did 90% of what he told you, well, the opposition very rarely had any chance of winning, I tell you, because we closed the game down so fast and opened it up so fast when we got the ball that people didn't realise what we were doing.
Here's Hall. Smith. Hall takes the return and hits the shot, and Case is in for his hat-trick.
Under Bob Paisley, the football became a little bit more possession-like. Most training sessions comprised of keep ball, you know, just constantly give and move, give and move. I mean, that was really the success of the 70s.
Paisley's approach was nothing short of a revolution. The system combined the control of the continental passing game with the aggression and work rate of the British game. By his second season in charge, Liverpool had become almost untouchable. It would be years before the others caught up. Next, he would beat the Europeans at their own game. Phil Neal was signed by Paisley and played in the UEFA Cup semi-final in Barcelona.
He laid the rules down as if to say, well, OK, we'll keep the opposition quiet. We'll do that by plenty of passing. And if we deny the opposition a scoring chance over the first half, you'll feel that the opposition's fans are getting fidgety towards, hang on, we're not in front, we're at home, you know, we should be in front. And it worked like a dream.
It all worked according to plan. Liverpool not only silenced the Barcelona support, they stunned them.
Won the game 1-0, and as a full-time whistle went, all these cushions came out the stand. So I got up out the dugout and threw them back. And I was whizzing them like frisbees, and they were bouncing off these Spaniards' heads. And I was getting that good at it. They were going under my leg, round my back, and I had them bouncing off the Barcelona fans' heads. And I remember Bob Paisley grabbing me by the collar and shouting, saying, you know, what do you think you're doing? And I said, well, I'm not having them throwing cushions at us. And he said, they're not throwing at us, they're throwing at them because we beat them, you know.
Liverpool went on to win the final of the UEFA Cup. They won the league as well in 1976. Shankly had laid the foundations, now Paisley built on them. And he shared Bill's mistrust of anything foreign. The following season, they headed far into Eastern Europe.
When we got drawn up at the boarding house, Bob Paisley got out, went out a little look inside, and he's come back to the coach. He said, they've put us in a doss house, you know, and the coach just sort of fell about laughing, really. We thought, we're staying in here. It was a terrible place.
I remember being served some odd-coloured soup. Bob took a look at this soup, and it was mauve. It was a funny colour. It was the most obscene colour he'd seen. Whether it was made with beetroot, I don't know, but he sent this food straight back, and I think he learnt from his experience in those early days. He still wouldn't let us drink the tea at half-time, because he'd often say, it's bloody drugged.
People think what a great life football is. Well, it is, as long as you're playing football. The biggest bore is getting on a plane to travel to wherever you're going, and you get there and you go to bed, and the following morning you get up, you do train, and you have a bite to eat, you sit in a hotel because you're not allowed to do anything, you go to bed early again, you get up the next day, you play the match, and then you wait another day, you're away 3 days. People used to say, oh, you've been to Budapest, you know, what's it like? Well, there's 4 walls, and there's a fella telling you can't have no more coffee because he hasn't got any.
Reporting games behind the Iron Curtain brought its own challenges, ones that called for the utmost diplomacy.
The Eastern European communist authorities used to give you a set time on your calls out. So you used to get, the first 2 pars over to the copy taker, then a voice would say, you'll have 10 more seconds. And now, if you got Bolshe, click, that was it. You never get, so you say, oh, I have a lot to talk about your team, to talk about your team to England. You had to butter them up any way you could. And the last thing you want is a Bolshe copy taker in Manchester who doesn't want to know about this. He just wants to get out for his pint and his break. And he can't hear. There's a crackly line. And the name of the goalkeeper is Centre Mahali. And you say, Centre Mahali, and the voice said, I suppose that's the usual spelling.